CES 2020 is starting this week, and we already have some pretty cool news. A 360 hertz refresh rate monitor. That sounds pretty crazy. Let's talk about it. Hey guys, Tiago with Classical Technology here. Thank you for joining me for another video. Please subscribe if you enjoy my content, smash that like button, leave a comment below. What do you think about this monitor being a 360 hertz refresh rate? CES 2020 is going on this week, and I just want to do a couple of quick videos for you guys whenever I see something that sort of piques my interest, and today I saw just that. Asus and Nvidia announced a 360 hertz refresh rate monitor. Now, most people are aware of, 144 hertz monitors. Those seem to be sort of the most popular types of gaming monitors. You can get them both at 1080p, 1440p, and even 4K now. But there's also 240 hertz monitors. I actually have a decent amount of experience with these, and I'll talk about it in a second. But now, Nvidia, in the partnership with Asus, have announced a 360 hertz refresh rate monitor. 1080p, and of course this is going to be geared towards esports and very competitive games. Now, to touch on 240 hertz, not that many monitors are actually 240 hertz, but there are a couple of notable exceptions. I've owned both the Alienware as well as the BenQ monitors that do 240 hertz, and there's also an Asus monitor that does it. They all use very similar panels, with some of the differences being G-Sync, like in the Alienware monitor and in the Asus. There's a version of the Alienware that doesn't have G-Sync, and the BenQ, of course, doesn't have G-Sync, but it has their motion blur technology. So I definitely feel there is some benefit to 240 hertz compared to even 144 hertz. Everything just feels like it's smoother, especially if you're like me and you like playing really fast-paced FPS games like Overwatch, Quake Champions, even Call of Duty, Battlefield. Those games all sort of benefit from a really high refresh rate monitor. And even in Windows, when you're moving around, I always thought that I could tell the difference between the 240 hertz monitor and something that's 60 hertz. Now, 144 hertz is fantastic still, and it gets much harder to actually notice a difference. Some people say you can't, some people say you can. I always thought that you can sort of tell a difference. I just feel better playing on a 240 hertz monitor if I'm doing a real competitive game, just because I know that other people are going to be playing on it as well. And when you're playing sort of in a competitive spectrum, you really want to get every advantage possible. So hearing about this 360 hertz monitor, that's really interesting. I mean, of course, it's going to be 1080p. It is going to have G-Sync, even though it's kind of weird having G-Sync at that high refresh rate. Generally, people turn off G-Sync to, mitigate any type of lag or latency. So a lot of these high-performance monitors actually don't even have G-Sync. A real competitive gamer likely would just turn off G-Sync anyway, just to make sure there's no latency. But generally, in a very competitive game, you could be getting upwards of 400 or 500 frames per second with a pretty fast computer, and sort of a esports title like maybe Counter-Strike or even a game like Quake Champions, which I like a lot. If you're playing at 1080p, let's say you drop it down to medium settings, you could really get hundreds and hundreds of frames per second, while on a 360 hertz monitor, you'll be able to take more advantage of that. And even though the difference may not really be felt by a casual gamer, if it's a professional gamer or at least somebody that really knows how to play the game, they may have a little bit better tracking and a little bit better aim because of this 360 hertz. So I'm really interested to see in what this 360 hertz monitor is going to bring. Supposedly it's supposed to be released later this year in 2020. Pricing hasn't been announced yet, but if it's anything like the 240 hertz monitors, I assume they're probably going to be in that like $500 to $800 range somewhere. This may be a little more expensive because it's going to be sort of the first 360 hertz monitor. Asus is the first company that's coming out with this. I'm sure others will follow as well. So I just thought this was really interesting, and I wanted to point it out to you guys. Alright guys, thank you very much for watching. Subscribe if you like my content, smash that like button, leave a comment below. Have you gamed on a high refresh rate monitor? And I'll see you guys on the next video.